Your first substantial comfort food needn't be labour-intensive or take hours. In fact, cooking your way to instant karma can be the work of moments if you take the expressway. It's just as well, because when I need comfort, I need it fast. Like the ultimate de-stressing supper, my rapid ragout, so fast to make, it's like kitchen therapy in itself. To nurture you and yours, chicken pot pie made easy, and just saying the name makes me feel better. And for assuaging those midnight munches, donut French toast. And whatever the problem, let me tell you, my chocolate chip cookies are the solution. When you're up against it, my noodle soup for needy people is the perfect tension tamer. Want to feel better? Then come with me, and I will take you the express route to deep, deep comfort. I have had a day and a half. Well, you know what it's like. But I need to eat something that'll make me instantly calmer. And for that, it has to be my rapid ragout. It's just a meat sauce, really, but instead of taking hours and cooking it slowly, I get that slow cook flavour really fast. Oh, I can't even be bothered to take my coat off, but it doesn't matter, because this is the work of minutes. My first lazy step is to add a tablespoonful of garlic oil. So no peeling, no mincing, no chopping, no nothing, but lots of flavour. And on top of that, some pancetta cubes, about half a cup, just chopped up bacon. And the great thing here is that it has a very long shelf life, and I can keep it in the fridge for whenever I want it. On top of the pancetta cubes, I've got some mincemeat. Now, I use lamb, not beef. I love its nursery sweetness, great against the salty pancetta. You know, my mother always cooked with lamb like this, so I do. There's about 250 grams here. Obviously, everyone's used to the idea of meat sauce with pasta, and this is what I do for my children. But for me, when I'm alone, I like it by itself, in a bowl, with some grated cheese, maybe some cheddar, maybe some red Leicester on top. My husband is appalled by this loveliness, but can I just tell you, it's perfect. Something fabulous happens to onions when you cook them for hours. I haven't got hours. I use instead a heaped tablespoon of caramelised onions from a jar. Most people, including me, when they cook a meat sauce, they use red wine, which is fabulous if you've got a couple of hours to let the wininess disappear. When you haven't, 3 tablespoons of Marsala or a rich sherry does the trick instantly. Marsala is just fortified wine, so you could argue that someone else has done the cooking down for you. Now, generally I peel and chop up a lot of vegetables in a meat sauce, including carrots, which take so long to cook. So instead, I use 3 tablespoonfuls of red lentils. And what's so great about these is that they give you that almost root vegetable sweetness with no work. Bit of a stir up. To help the lentils cook, because they do absorb quite a bit of liquid, I'm going to add about 3 tablespoonfuls of water. Then finally, half a can of chopped tomatoes, another store cupboard standby. I'm done. This will take about 20 minutes to cook at a gentle simmer. It'll taste as if I had been slaving over it for about 3 hours. And in the meantime, I can grate some cheese, get a bowl and a spoon, take my coat off, more importantly, take my shoes off, and then on course for salvation. The bowl that bolsters, you know it makes sense. I've got a deadline. In fact, I can almost hear this deadline whooshing past me. You know how it is as well when you're really up against it. Anything seems attractive other than the work you're meant to be doing. And actually, I have been known to iron under these circumstances, but luckily things aren't quite as drastic as that yet, because I have a legitimate distraction in the form of making lunch, because obviously I must make my lunch, and what I've got planned is a super fast, super wonderful noodle soup. My noodle soup is a very calming culinary exercise because I make it with whatever I've got in the house. As long as I've got broth and noodles, I can go with anything that I need or have. I've got a 500 milliliter carton of chicken broth. Let's get this on the heat. About half a teaspoon of dark brown sugar and a star anise, which, as the broth heats up, its flavour should impart everywhere. When I want the perfumed heat of fresh ginger as well, I don't bother to peel it. I just mince it through a grater. And a teeny bit of soy. Udon noodles, about 50 grams. Just contemplating these makes me feel very zen. 3 shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to remove the stalk because unlike most mushroom stalks, it's very woody and you can't really eat it. Please don't worry if you haven't got all these ingredients at home. I don't always. The whole point of this is you just go with the flow. If I've got some chicken or some prawns, throw them in too. And some patty pans, like squash, that look like they are flying saucers in miniature. And I love all their yellowness. In they go. Let's tear up a bit of baby pak choy. And as soon as this has wilted, it's in with the bean sprouts and off we go. You see, really now, I know I don't have to feel guilty for being away from my computer because this can only help me get my work done with extra energy and concentration. Perfect. You know, the great thing about having torn off the noodles in that short shape is that I can just slurp as I work. That ironing isn't looking like such a bad idea. Don't do that. Whatever you do, do not ring him and do not text him. No. Look, I'll tell you what to do. Come round here. I'll give you something to eat. You'll feel a lot better. Okay, come now. I think you may have got the picture there. Sobbing girlfriend on the phone, and a small bit of tea and sympathy is required, but I think an express batch of chocolate chip cookies will administer all the comfort that's required. Better go out and get the supplies before she comes round. She'll be needing a nice cup of tea, of course. Oh, and I want some cocoa. Everything else for the cookies I've got at home. Oh no, there is one other thing I'll be needing. From the sound of her on the phone, I'll be needing this box of tissues. So she's looked after and I've got a short burst of therapeutic baking. I am aware that you can buy perfectly decent, sometimes even good, chocolate biscuits or chocolate cookies from shops. But until you've had these, totally chocolate chip cookies, you don't know what one can be like. I have to say, they can make strong men and women weep with gratitude, and they're quite good, though I say it myself, at mopping up tears as well. I'm going to let the bowl of chocolate melt over the gently simmering water while I get on with the rest of the biscuits. I've got 125 grams of soft unsalted butter, and I want another 125 grams of sugar, and I'm splitting that up into 75 grams of soft light brown sugar for fudginess and 50 grams of regular sugar. And while that's mixing, I shall get on with the dry ingredients. I need 150 grams of plain flour, 30 grams of cocoa, a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Don't heap it, otherwise you'll get a bit of soapiness. And half a teaspoon of salt. This is the only time, really, I use the free-flowing sort. That is gorgeous, glossy and melted. So let's take it out now, it can cool for a sec. Bit of vanilla, about a teaspoon, quite a lot really, into the butter and sugar. And now I'm going to scrape this molten lake of chocolate into the creamed sugar and butter. And now a sprint to the fridge. It's the only exercise you'll ever see me taking. And one cold egg. Just crack it in. Now this is quite odd for baking when normally you have everything at room temperature. I was given this recipe by someone who is a complete chocolate fiend, Eleanor Clivens, and she told me to use an ice cold egg. So I do what I'm told, and these are perfect. And now I'm going to tip in the dry ingredients. Now you might think that was it, and it is really, except for 2 whole packets of chocolate chips. In they go. Just mix by hand, there's no need to get the heavy machinery out. I love the clattery noise that they make as you mix them into the batter. Now, I agree that to some people, using half a kilo of chocolate to make 12 biscuits may seem excessive, but I can tell you, I don't put a price on alleviating human suffering. I dip an ice cream scoop in so, rather like bricklaying, I smooth out the top and then release each mounded cookie in the tin. I get 12 exactly out of this amount, but what I do is I bake 6 instantly, and for those periods of unforetold stress that lie ahead, I have 6 of them squirreled away in the deep freeze to administer instant comfort. So into the freezer with this lot. Oven with those. It's 170 degrees and they need 18 minutes, by which time I will be ready to administer top-class comfort. Beautiful. I'm not going to say anything, you know what I thought of him. Anyway, these do all the talking you need.
Thank you. No, you're right, you know. He wasn't right, but they're definitely right for me.
They are, aren't they?
Delicious.
I'm the sort of person who always relies on food to try and make things better. Now, right now, my daughter has got exams and I can't honestly say who is more stressed, her or me. I'm trying to put a brave face on it. I mean, I've got no doubt the time will come when I reach for sugar solace, but right now, I'm trying to exude calm and be the sort of fairy tale mother with twinkly eyes and a flowery apron who spends all day baking pies. Now, my life doesn't quite accommodate that, so I take the expressway and I can manage to do a pie from scratch on the table in half an hour. And lucky me, it leaves me some time for revision too. Just hearing the words chicken pot pie makes me feel I'm in a haze of comfort. And if the words do that, imagine what the food does. Garlic infused oil, about a teaspoon to start off with. Pies can take half a day to make, but these ones, half an hour. And I've got lots of ways of making things easier, not least that I snip in about 3 rashers of bacon. No chopping board to wash up. On those now bronzing bits of bacon, I'm going to snip in some chestnut mushrooms, about 125 grams. There's something strangely therapeutic about cutting through all these mushrooms with scissors, and my view is, if you can grab yourself a bit of kitchen therapy, do it. Bit of a stir up. I make life really easy by getting skinned, boned chicken thighs which have been cut into pieces. There are about 250 grams going in here. I'm not really sure why people always want chicken breast. Not only is it more expensive, but it's very difficult to cook. It goes so stringy easily. Normally when you make a chicken pie, you'd have to start off with a roux, which means a paste of flour and butter, and then add liquid slowly to it while cooking your chicken in another pan. I don't bother with all that. So on top of the chicken pieces, I want some flour, 2½ tablespoons, and for me, herb of the gods, half a teaspoon of dried thyme. I shall just shake everything about to dredge and coat the chicken pieces in this, and then add the butter part of the roux, about a teaspoon of butter into the bacon. And in go the chicken pieces. I'm not waiting for it to brown, I just want to turn it in the heat. Make sure the flour absorbs the bacony and mushroom juices as well. And while I admit there's a time and a place for homemade chicken stock, right now all I need is 325 millilitres of recently boiled water. And to that, I add some chicken concentrate. You could use a cube, whatever you want. There's no point giving a measurement because different brands require a different amount of concentration. Just read what it says on the packet or bottle and add a bit extra. This just needs to bubble away for 5 minutes and I will get on with the pastry. This is how I do it. Take it out of the fridge. I'm an unapologetic believer in shop-bought puff pastry. I mean, French pastry chefs train for years to make perfect puff pastry. Don't bother, as long as it's all butter and, for me, for ease, ready rolled, you're in business. The other reassuringly easy thing about these pies is that I don't make any fiddly, tricky base. I just have lovely puff pastry golden lids. I cut the puff pastry in half and then fill the little pie pots with the chicken filling. Really, what you're thinking about here is thick, velvety, chicken-studded soup or stew. And when you eat them, you've got a crispy dome, crispy of puff pastry, which you can break through and then make it get all soggy in the chicken pie filling. And now we crown these babies. I cut a strip and then dibble dabble a bit of water. This just helps the pastry adhere to the pot. Drape over. Stick that on. Cut another strip, the other half of the rim. And then I'm going to attempt to cut a rough circle. Geometrists, avert your eyes now, please. Don't be upset that this is no sort of perfect circle. Doesn't have to be, because the great thing about a pie is that the more homey it looks, the more welcoming and comforting it is. So you have a license to be as clumsy as you like. Get a fork and, in amateurish fashion, press the tines in to help the puff pastry adhere, and also I think it looks pretty. 3 prongs in the middle, and exactly the same with the next. The oven is preheated to 220. They need 20 minutes. Time for me, poor me, to do a spot of last-minute revision and then reward golden domed puff pastry chicken pot pies. Supper's is going to be in 20 minutes. Can I help you until then?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do les saisons. Le printemps.
Spring.
L'hiver.
Winter.
Do you know how you can remember when I was at school how we were taught to remember? Because if you put an S before it, it's shiver, and you shiver in winter. That's good. And I don't think it's Here we are. Good girl. Yes, you can take the lid off if you want. But that's juicy bit of chicken. And you finish up so you've got the strength, and then we'll carry on. Who am I kidding? I can't sleep. I need something sweet and soothing and fast, and that has to be my donut French toast. Oh, I love this room. In moments of dire stress, I have been known to come in here and just stroke the shells. I mean, it is completely my comfort capsule. Anyway, to business, or rather pleasure. I need vanilla, I need some bread, I've got to have the carbs, and I need a double hit of sugar, just ordinary sugar, and some icing sugar. And now, sweet solace is only moments away. There is no better comfort food for the careworn mother, this careworn mother, than my donut French toast. The great thing about it is it's pretty well instant, no hazardous deep frying either, and you get all the vanilla scent of a donut in its yielding bite, but none of the work. Get my many essential ingredients. Everything down, a lot of essentials, but it's very fast. I want a slice of white bread, slightly stale, but that's better because it'll absorb the egg better. Cut in 2. And I'm going to soak this bread in 1 egg, about 2 tablespoonfuls of milk, and about 2 teaspoons of really good vanilla. The really extraordinary thing is that when the egg and vanilla is absorbed by the bread, it does taste of donut, and something to do with the vanilla, the batteriness, and the yeast in the bread. It's amazing, and it takes 1/100th of the time of the real donut. So let the bread soak up all that golden goo, and while that's happening, I'm going to get on with the strawberry jelly. got about 150 grams of strawberries here. And I don't cook this strawberry sauce. I just use it in place of an intensely boiled down strawberry jelly that you'd normally get with donuts. Now, what about 4 tablespoons of icing sugar? And then a spritz of lemon. Now, we're going to have to hope that this works fast because I don't want to wake the house, so here goes. Great, got a nice bit of edge going on. The bread can be turned now. This one and the other, and then both pieces will be golden all the way through. I'm going to turn the heat on the pan. What about a tablespoonful of butter, unsalted, and the merest dribble of vegetable oil. This will stop the butter burning. Tricks I learnt from my mother. I need this. I don't want too fierce a sizzle here because it's really important that the eggy bread, if you like, cooks all the way through. I don't want it to scorch on the outside before the centre is cooked. I'm going to get my plate. Am I giving away my impatience here? You know, I think it's more stressful having children doing the exams than it ever was doing the exams myself. That's my excuse for this. And while it cooks there, I'm going to get everything ready for a bit of dredging. Now, this is the master touch. Need about, I don't know, 25 grams of caster sugar. Okay, I'm ready for my dredging. There's something almost tranquilizing for me about this vanilla-y smell. I adore it. Look at that. It's quite a tough job having to emanate calm all the time. This should help. Right. Now that has hit the spot.